What's good, people? So today I'm going to show you my Pokemon Home collection. This collection I've had for a little while now, a good couple of years. I did do a video just like this a couple of years back on a different channel, but now I want to update it and show you on this channel because I've added quite a few more since this is, as far as nerdy achievements go, I'm proud of this, but as far as putting it on my CV, I definitely wouldn't. This has taken not only years of my life, but probably years off of my life, because it was a lot of work. So you can see here, all the original ones, say from Kanto, are from the Virtual Console, and all the shinies are just from wherever the hell else I found them, like Pokemon Go. But I've spliced them in because I'm trying to work on a living dex as well, just not like hardcore, but just as I go. So whenever I find them, I just chuck them into place. But I'm not going to go through every single Pokemon like this because it's painstaking. That's what I did in the first video, and it just takes ages. I don't have every single form of every single Pokemon, but when, like, say for the Rattata and the Raticate, I threw them in as well. Because my Pokemon home would be full if I had every kind of Spinder that exists, and it would be even longer, way worse to do. This one's just happenstance. I happen to get one from the Virtual Console and evolve them into this one. This one into the form, but I didn't do that for all of them. I know I seen Birdkeeper Toby's video, and I had done my living dex before him, so like this generational living dex that is. So if that dates it at all, then I don't know if you've seen that video. But yeah, this is how I've done it. So every game that to catch Pokemon in, that's where I've caught them. So for this one, it was a Virtual Console. For the second generation, it was a Virtual Console. For the third generation, it wasn't the Game Boy Advance games because I didn't at that time that I was doing it have all the things I needed to do it, the Game Boy and the link cable and all the rest of that jazz. I didn't have that at the time, but I got them from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I believe, and then the fourth generation is. Have I gone through this once? No. The fourth generation is from the DS games, Diamond and Pearl. I did go for it again, my bad. Too busy talking. So Diamond and Pearl is the fourth generation, and not the Switch games because I'd done the living dex before those games come out. And then the fifth generation, there is no other way but the DS. So did the DS. And then the sixth and so on. They're all from. So every Pokemon is from their respective game. I think I timed that perfectly. Check me out. So like I say, I got them all from the original games, and then the forms and the shinies I've just got from wherever and threw them in as well. But this is a complete generational living dex, which like I say, I am proud that I done it. It did take me years, but it was a lot of work. Fortunately, the bulk of this living dex was done when I really didn't have much of a life, and I was just sitting at home all day, every day, and going to work at some periods of it. But my job, usually I can work on this Pokedex while at work, so that was handy. But yeah, so this is my living dex, and I have a few more sort of bonus things to show you after this. But I'll just run through. I'll show you the first generation. Because it's the best generation, of course, and it's the only one that really matters. So I'll go through painstakingly like this, and then I'll show you the rest of them a little bit more sped up, and not in detail like this, where I go through every single picture. I've gone back again. That's okay. I did. I went back a good few Pokemon. That's alright. So like the shiny Gyarados was from the second generation. Virtual Console, which of course is guaranteed. I do have all the evolutions I did the chaining method in Diamond Pearl on the Switch. I can't remember exactly. Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. I did those on there, but I did catch enough. But of course, you couldn't get Sylveon in those games, and then I had the shiny Eevee just chilling in my game, ready to be a Sylveon, until I forgot months later. And the best Pokemon ever, of course. Until I forgot months later, which I actually caught a lot of Mewtwo's from every generation I could. So that's the thing. So what was I saying? And a couple of shinies too, because, you know. I threw myself way out there. I did like this too, so I stopped here. I didn't continue Johto from there because of the shinies. When I added them, it's gonna be like a huge pain. But yeah, I totally lost my train of thought there now. God damn it! What the hell was I saying? Oh, I don't know. It's gone. Either way, I'll just scroll through. You can see from the little picture down the bottom there exactly where they're from. Like I say, all the second generation is from the Virtual Console second generation games, and so on and so forth. So it's a generation of Living X. I do think I was probably one of the first in the world to do it. Certainly that I know about, because people might have done it and didn't upload any videos to YouTube. But God, I must have. I couldn't even tell you the year. Maybe. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you the year, but it was a good amount of years ago. Like I say, these are all from then the Mega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. But just to have a generation Living Dex like this, you have to complete every single Pokemon game, being that, like, if it's the first generation, it's yellow, blue, and red, because there's a lot of version exclusives. And so on and so forth for the legendaries and stuff. You have to complete Diamond and Pearl to get both of those legendaries. So it did take a long time. I think probably about a year and a half to 2 years maximum. But now that I've done it, it's great. And you'd think that, oh, you can just transfer Pokemon into the games and complete every Pokedex quickly. You would think that, but I'm kind of weird and OCD, and I kind of don't want to take these Pokemon out of here once they're in here. So this is where they remain. A lot of these ain't seen the light of day since they got sent from their games. You can see these don't have a marking because these are from the DS version, Diamond Pearl and Sinnoh. For the most part, obviously, let's say the main bulk of them, the shinies and stuff, have come from all over the place, wherever, whenever. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a good couple of generations to go, so buckle in, get your popcorn out, and watch me endlessly scroll through Pokemon. But I appreciate you watching this far, because who wants to watch a guy just scroll through cartoon characters and express how big of a fan / nerd he is? Do you know, I think all of this might have come from growing up the slogan "Got to catch 'em all." You know, I think that's probably had a massive impact on me, because that slogan was all over the place when I was a kid. And not only did I do it once, but I remember back when X and Y came out, I was playing through those games and I completed a Living Dex in X and Y. But of course there was no bank and no home back then, and they got lost to time because, I don't know, I guess I stopped playing, and the save with all the Pokemon on went to the wayside at some point. But so this is actually the second generation of Living Dex I've done, because I did do it up to X and Y, but I think also I wanted to catch them all from their respective game because it's a little bit harder, and I'd say a little bit more fun too. Sure, why not? And it was, and I'm glad I have done it now. Like I say, I've had this done for a long time, and then I've just added in shinies, and any new Pokemon that come out I've added in, like the Scarlet Violet DLC has just come out, so I've had to throw those Pokemon in as well. Any new forms, any new Pokemon, and just keep tacking them on. Same with Arceus. Yeah, I think I said that right. Arceus, I think I say. I don't know. And then, like I say, room for expansion for shinies and stuff. And these are all from the Sun and Moon. The only really place you can get them, all from Alola. But yeah, I mean, as you get further along the generations, I've got less and less shinies because usually I can find older generation shinies in the newer games, whereas these type of Pokemon, they're not all too common unless you're talking the real recent games. But yeah, so like again, you have to complete Sun and Moon to get both the legendaries for this, and sometimes you even got to complete them 3 times. That was my little reward for completing the decks, especially from Pokemon Home, Shiny Megarena. And then like with this one, this was a pain. Like you have to complete you have to be on Pokemon Go and get all the candies for him, open those boxes all the time. And that's the good thing about Pokemon, and shiny Pokemon especially. There's so many little stories that relate to how you got on, where you got on, why you got on, how you got, which is, you don't really find that with any other game. So Pokemon has always held a special little place in my heart, especially because I'd played it since I was a kid, up to the point I was an adult. And now you have to be an adult to even afford the games, because the older games especially are particularly pricey. And like there's a lot of Pokemon like this where you can only get them through events, and if you don't get them through events, then they're gone forever. Unless you're talking about the DS games, in which you can just blag it a little bit. This one I literally got just last night because I've only just done the DLC. The DLC come out the day before yesterday, I believe. And on to Paldea. Of course, you can only get these in the Paldean, in the Sun, in the Scarlet Violet games. What the hell am I talking about? But this is coming to an end now of my main living decks, but I have a few other things that I can show you. The start of this video in particular, because I always leave it on that screen, because even though it's not box 1, I think it's actually the last box, and box 1 starts with the Pokemon from Kanto. I always leave it on the Generations decks just because I love to see it, So, and then like I said, these are the new Pokemon then from the DLC. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't seen them. But I imagine you have, because not everyone's like me and don't watch the trailers. So that's where it ends. Like I say, room for expansion. Any new Pokemon games come out, that's where we're at. And also, never skip boxes. I always painstakingly go through like this, just so I can look at them. Because, like I say, it was years of my life that I'd had to work to do this. So where are we at now? The start being here, Generations. So this top row was my team that I played through the game with, that game being Leaf Green or Fire Red, and of course they come from then the GBA games. Again, that was the team I used. Moving on then to the next 6 being the Johto region, but that being the what's the word? Heart Gold Soul Silver team, and generally they're just a little bit harder to find. This team, like the get Pokemon from these games, is like I say a little bit harder. This being Hoenn, being my Ruby Game Boy Advance Ruby game. My team, I mean 31 Gyarados, 34. Like I obviously try and blag through the Elite Four a little bit. A Distant Land, you'll notice, Espeon, Umbreon, and Entei. These come from Pokemon Colosseum, being that the GameCube games. These are just the legendaries then from Leaf Green and Soul Silver, and then Hoenn being, like I said, the Game Boy Advance games. Maybe I played Emerald in the day for Rayquaza. Don't know. And then moving on, we just got shinies, spare shinies, that I pick up along the way that I've already got in my living decks. Do I have a shiny Celebi already? Or did I remove that because... Oh, I do. From Jungle event. Okay. Sorry about that. So, yeah, so we've got 2 shinies, which are, like I say, doubles. Just chilling. 6 IV is something I started recently, just for when I breed, and I need somewhere to put the 6 IV Pokemon that I have. Event Pokemon. So I think these are actually just the G-Max ones. Oh no, they're in Event Balls. Pokemon Home. Okay. I mean, a lot of these, I don't know what they even are, to be honest, at this point. I mean, Pokemon Home, the hat Pikachu's, again, events, they come, they go on, and you can't get them again. I haven't got the events from years and years and years ago, even though I've always played Pokemon. I've always been weird and OCD and stopped playing it, or for whatever reason lost my saves, and yeah, so I do. While I've played for years and years and got all the events at some point, I don't necessarily have all the event Pokemon now. But the ones I got date back for a good couple of years because I played Pokemon Solid, and had a place to put them all too. Like having Pokemon Home, Pokemon Bank, years ago, would have solved that problem for me, having a place to store them all. But I didn't. So, like I say, my events don't go back as far as my history does. These are also from Pokemon Coliseum. I just didn't know where else to throw them in, so they're in the event boxes. And a couple more here. You might recognise some of these events, even if I'm not necessarily going through talking about them specifically. They be there. And again with these, like I'm waiting to put him in Sword and Shield because he come from, I believe it's just Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, but he's like my my catching Pokemon. And then Pokemon Go, again I didn't have anywhere else to store them. So then I also got the living dex for the G-Maxable Pokemon, all the ones of the G-Max forms, Gigantamax and all that. Like that's the living dex for those. And then these are just the unknown then from Legends Arceus, plus a couple of Dittos that I don't have anywhere else to put because, like I say, my box is so organised and I'm OCD that I had to put them somewhere. But those are also another thing. Unless they were from in-game trades, the, like say for example, let's see, for like Generation 1, okay, yeah, sure, I could have traded over from Generation 2 if I did it that way, had two DSs and had the Virtual Console on both. But say for Miles here, he's got a nickname, he isn't shiny, and his original trainer is Trainer. That's because that comes from an in-game trade in those games. And like I say, I could have been the original trainer, like, well, I was going to go and say, I'm the original trainer, GDR, for every single Pokemon in here, unless they're events or in-game trades, which I wanted to still keep the Pokemon as in-game trades that would be. Like I say, I could have got Mr. Mime from Crystal, say, and sent it over, and bred it and sent it over, so I would have been the original trainer. But I quite like the niche of having the Pokemon from, say, Mr. Mime, that Pokemon you could only obtain through an in-game trade in those games. So that's how he is in here. Otherwise, I'd be the original trainer, like I am with every other Pokemon. But that's just a little thing. I prefer to do it that way. That's all. You know. So it is what it is. Like I say, super OCD, super crazy. Mewtwo is boy. And thank you for watching this. What is it? 18 minutes long video. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you all can enjoy Pokemon and work on your own living dexes. Just put a couple of years away spare. Thanks. Bye bye.